Hello and welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Justin.
I'm Darren.
Here on Buyer's Remorse, we check out each other's libraries, find games that are untouched or unplayed, and force that person to give that game they bought a try for 60 minutes, and then report back to find out if it is a wonderful buyer's confirmation or a dreaded buyer's remorse. What game did I choose for you this time?
The Survey.
The Survey, I'm pretty sure that I have as well.
You do? I should have given this one to you instead.
Tell us about The Survey.
Okay, it was released in 2016. We both got this from Fanatical. It was part of a bundle because I have more copies of it. I checked. I've got like 3 copies of this. So maybe I'll give one away to some lucky person.
But you're going to hang on to the other 2.
You never know. Their value might increase in the future. They'll be like, oh man, remember that class game, The Survey, back in the day? No one's going to say that. Yeah, The Survey has 666 mostly positive reviews. It's so fitting. If it was scary, that would be funny, but it's like the most scary game I've ever played in my life.
But do you think that people are afraid to leave a review now because they want to leave it at the 666?
Yeah, probably. So The Survey is another flashlight horror game.
Okay.
And it is unabashedly set up in like I think it's Unreal. What's the other one? It's not Unreal.
Unity.
It's a Unity room that I've seen in another game. I was playing another game called All Who Remain or All That Remains or something like that. It's another horror game. And it's exactly the same house. So I was like, oh yeah, bedroom's up there. Oh, this room is dark, but I can see the corridor leading into it. I was like, this goes to the kitchen. Boom, there's the kitchen. They didn't even bother changing anything. They just like the stock spooky house, asset, just plop, right, done. Let's move on. The Survey, I thought, was going to be about surveying a house, right? And then there's a ghost in there.
I don't think so. If I remember correctly, you have to fill out a survey or something?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
You have to take a survey on your phone. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a horror game. Like, I mean, yeah, survey the house. It's a spooky house. You go in, and then you know, it turns into a ghost hunt. But there's a point where you pick up a mobile phone and it rings. It's like, would you like to take the survey? It's like, oh no.
But if you say no, does the game just end?
Yeah, but no, it doesn't end. It just keeps on. It won't progress until you say yes.
Okay.
And so you take a survey, and it's not short, man. It's like there's a lot of questions in that. It's like it felt like taking a real survey at points. Just like, come on, get to the point.
Okay, so a couple questions I have here already. One, is the flashlight from your phone?
No, you pick up a flashlight.
Okay, so this isn't the type of thing where it goes dark every time you're answering a question and then the flashlight comes back on.
All right, no.
I thought that was part of the mechanic.
No, you basically have to go through rooms, flick on light switches, and then sometimes they go off. You got to flick them back on again, and then you just basically switch everything on in the house, and then you find the phone. There's a couple of puzzles. There's a few puzzles in the game. Like for some reason, there's pictures on the wall that have like letters, like Roman numerals, and then a number, and so you use that to unlock the phone. I think that was part of the puzzle. Then you can take the survey, and the survey basically looks like, you know, I'm some kind of old drunk that killed his wife or something. It's going to be something like that.
Okay.
And so I'm atoning for my sins or whatever, right? And so you take the survey, and the survey comes in like kind of waves. Like, so you get the first part of the survey, and then it'll be like, okay. But the problem is with the game, for a horror game that tries to jump scare you, you get to points in the thing where you'll be on your phone, and you'll be doing something, and it's like, and then it'll say, look behind you. And you're like, oh, did you just tell me that? And you slowly turn around, it's like, bah! It's like, oh, thanks, game. You know? So they telegraph everything before they even do it. And they're like, look in the hallway. Like, oh, and then you see like a little shadow go behind a door. It's like, why are you telling me all this? Like, Why are you ruining the surprise? Like, I don't understand it, and it's so unscary, man. It's like, it's honestly, man. You know me. I'm terrified. I'm such a big baby when it comes to these games. I was dreading playing this game because I was like, this is not my genre. Flashlight horror is the death of me. But after about 20 minutes, I was just like, this is the funniest game I've ever played. It's so stupid. And then there's another bit where they ruin it as well. There's a statue in the corner, and then the phone again says, "Is the statue still there?" And I was like, "Oh, the statue's moved." And I go in the room, and it's like, now it's over by the fireplace. And this statue is it's not even like a weeping angel statue where it's like big and foreboding. It's like this little garden gnome, you know. It's like I mean, it's not a garden gnome, but it's about that size, you know. It's really small, and it's like, unless it grows 10 feet and gets a pair of fangs, it's the least intimidating statue I've ever seen. It's basically a little cherub, and you don't even see it move. It's just like, oh, it's over there now. You go through a door and, oh, look behind you. Where's the statue? It's like, oh, it's there. All right. Thanks, game. And so it just goes on and on like this, man.
Do these statues interact with you in any way? Do they try to touch you?
No,
do the creepy shapes try to do anything to you?
Nothing, man. Absolutely nothing. They just be. Yeah, it's really dumb. And then and then there's bits in it. It's like you turn on all the televisions, but you see on your phone or you pick up a paper. You're like, don't leave the televisions on. The static annoys her. So eventually, me trying to get a rise out of myself and get a scare, I'm going around the house switching on all the televisions. There's only all the there's only like 3 televisions or 4 televisions. So I switch them all on and I'm waiting for something to happen. Nothing. Maybe it's for later. Maybe it's some scripted animation later on in the game, but nothing. There's one part where the woman is in a room and then she very, very unscarily walks into a closet, which obviously has no exit, and then you look in the closet and she's gone, and then you pass out and wake up again. And then you just go through the same stuff. It's just basically going up and down these stairs in this house, going around this Unity engine house, stock house, looking for clues. That was the other problem. Is it's kind of like a puzzle game, but it's not a fun puzzle game. It's just like I eventually had to give. Well, I mean, my hour was up. I did try and play a little bit past the hour to see if I could solve this final puzzle, but I just couldn't get anything working, and so that was it.
How long do the batteries last?
There's no battery, thankfully.
Okay, well that's a huge improvement. It sounds like it fixed a lot of the problems that you normally hate in these kind of games.
Oh man, the battery thing is like...
So there's that. You say you don't like jump scares, but I suspect that you kind of do.
Secretly I do, yeah. Secretly.
I think there's some sort of right mix to it for you, though.
Yeah.
I think something like Five Nights at Freddy's, where the end game is the jump scare, is not good for you.
And the big noises, like I just don't like getting my eardrums pulled out, you know, like that's not fun. That's all you're doing is just damaging my eardrums. Like,
they've given you some puzzles. There's no limited battery. Yeah, you don't get jump scared. This sounds like on paper this would be your ideal horror game.
Yeah, because it is almost like a walking sim, isn't it? It's just like a boring walk around a house. But the problem is, I know the story. I'm dead, or I'm hallucinating my dead wife. I probably killed her, or I got drunk and crashed a car, or something like that. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've got the survey all wrong, and it's actually a work of genius.
Somehow I doubt it, because we got it in that bundle.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think you're going to play it anymore?
I mean, not really, because if anything, I would go and watch a YouTube playthrough just to see if I was right about the story. There's nothing really that excites me enough to go back into it myself, to play it out. It's just not fun, man. It's not bad. It's not bad. But it's just lacking something, man. It's lacking something, and I mean, it looks nice. You know, the Unity kind of like developers tools. They're quite decent. You know, everything looks good. The The light switches all work. It's like everything works kind of well. The lighting in the game is a bit weird. Like when you switch on light switches, I don't think they've got their lighting skills down yet, because it kind of just lights up like parts of the room where you think it should light up everything. But yeah, it's the same house from Slenderman. It's the same house from all those that remain, or whatever it's called. And just, yeah, and it's not scary at all. Really, at all, it's not scary. And it's tagged as a horror. I mean, the only horror is how bad it is.
Would you recommend this game to me?
Well, you have it, so you wouldn't be paying for it. It has cards, which is probably why I installed it and played it. Because I think I already had a couple of hours in this game when you said, because that's one of our deals, isn't it? Because you always go through my library because you don't know what I've farmed for cards or not.
Yeah, so when I'm searching through his library, dear listener, he will have some where it will say he's played it for 4 hours, but it's just because the cards took 4 hours to drop. So I always have to go through. It's an extra step for me every time, where I have to make a huge list, hoping that there will be some in there that he actually hasn't played.
Yeah.
Whereas pretty much he knows that mine, if it's got, well, mine will have 0 hours on it, so you can do that. Though there are some times in the library where a time just won't show up, and those are also times where we both have to double check. Have you played this?
Yeah.
Why does it not show a time? That one's a little bit weird. But yeah. Would you recommend this to our listeners?
I mean, maybe
if they already own it, as I do.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that Nikolai would stream on his channel on Twitch. So one of these bad, cheap horror games. But he would be the only person that I would recommend this to, and he's probably already played it. In fact, I'm looking at the list here of people that own this game, and I think he's already got it. It's I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, and not because it's terrible. It's just because it's kind of just nothing. Like that's maybe even worse than being bad, isn't it? Jesus,
being mediocre.
Yeah, just like no. This is really. It's not scary. It's not a good puzzle game, and it's not really atmospheric enough. They tell you when all the jump scares are going to happen. They constantly ruin their own surprises for you, and the house is quite small to walk around in. I mean, maybe it gets bigger later on, but there's a couple of doors that are locked that I couldn't get into. I'm guessing that's the end. The end game is both those doors.
Had you not been in there in the other game?
I had been in there in the other game, so I know what's inside those rooms.
I know where the bed's going to be. I know where the closet's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The one downstairs is a toilet, and so there's probably a jump scare in there, maybe a shower curtain or something, and the upstairs one was another bedroom.
What tags would you give this game?
Not horror, that's for sure. I would say it's again. Well, I mean, if I'm going to say horror, or maybe I do have to say horror. Flashlight horror, because it's kind of one of those flashlight horror games.
Okay.
They've got dark psychological horror. Psychological horror. Maybe that's a good tag for it, because it is one of those games that it's all about messing with your mind. But it's not messing with your mind because it's telling you it's messing with your mind. How much can you mess with someone's mind when you're telling them you're messing with their mind? And walking sim, man. I would class this more as a little bit of a spooky walking simulator. Honestly, Dear Esther is scarier than this.
With that in mind, then, is that a genre?
What, like
horror walking sim?
Horror walking sim. I think so. I think I've definitely played a few kind of spooky walking sims. Yeah. I mean, I would probably class Soma as a horror walking sim.
I would. And there was the one Roblox thing that you showed me as well.
Oh, yeah.
That one would probably... You just basically step on a conveyor belt and then you get different bits of story. It's almost like going through a haunted house.
Yeah.
But without the jump scares.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd say, horror walking sim. Maybe psychological horror. and it's definitely an indie game because it's very, very cheap, and it's cheaply made and cheaply done. And the developer's only done one game, and for a first game, I would say, at least for that, well done, Robert Gammon.
Because it works.
Because it works, and it's not a bad. I mean, I couldn't make it. I mean, I'm taking the piss out of it, like, oh, it's all just Unity assets just plopped in without much done. But I mean, if this is his first attempt at a game, then hats off to you. It's not bad. I would like to see you do another horror game, but don't tell us that the horror is coming. Don't say, oh, look behind you, when I'm going to look behind me anyway.
And don't make us do a phone survey.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
that's the scariest part. Oh no,
no,
I'm gonna waste 2 hours of my life doing the survey.
But I mean, at least the survey, I guess, is a vehicle for the story. It's something a bit different than just picking up audio logs or torn out diary pages. I get it. That's it. It's a novel way to tell the story. Because in the survey, though, they start to ask like really weird questions, like, "Why did you drink so much that night?" Do you think you're a violent person? It's like, okay, all right. It's a bit overcooked, but again, for a first-time game, it's better than what I could do. And I've seen much worse. I've seen way worse than this.
Well, yeah, we both have.
But personally, I would not recommend it. No, sorry.
So that leaves the final question then. Is this a wonderful buyer's confirmation or a dreaded buyer's remorse?
Yeah, I mean, just on a like time is money kind of thing, it's going to have to be a remorse because, I didn't enjoy it, and it didn't do anything that a horror game should do for me. So it was just kind of, like you said before, mediocrity is worse than being bad. So, yeah, it's a remorse, man.